You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
If you go into the stores right now, you are going to see Christmas. It's October 5th, or 6th, I think today is. But you'll see Christmas displays. You'll see trees coming up. Now, normally, most stores were at least kind enough to wait until after Halloween because they had their Halloween displays to do. But they're not even bothering this year. They're just going straight into Christmas. And there's this whole thing about a war on Christmas. Well, if there is, it's because the Christmas is invading. You know, you get the month of December. Shouldn't you at least wait till after Thanksgiving? Let Thanksgiving have its holiday? Fine. Some people don't celebrate Thanksgiving at that time. Canadians celebrate it in October. British don't really celebrate Thanksgiving because, well, you know, it's like Independence Day. But why are we doing Christmas 3 months early? This is absolutely ridiculous. It feeds into the worst of society. Yeah. And I'm not ready for Christmas when it's 90 degrees out. I don't want to see a Christmas tree when I come into the store sweating because it's hot outside. Need to stop this. Seriously. I mean, either that or Biden needs to move forward on the whole legalizing marijuana everywhere. One of the two. Stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is October 6th, and we're going to talk about a few different things. We got a little bit of news, we got maybe a bit of a rant, and then we're going to talk about Andor. Keep in mind that either tonight or tomorrow will be the release of the Marvel's first ever special on Disney Plus, Werewolf by Night, which stars Gail Garcia Bernal, I think it is, and Laura Donnelly as Jack Russell and, of course, Elsa Bloodstone. It will have an appearance by the Man-Thing. According to Kevin Feige, it is the first look into an area of the Marvel Universe that is going to become more important. So it is well worth checking out. And again, that drops probably midnight tonight if you're in LA, 3 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. You can catch it first thing in the morning or save it for Friday night, because what's better than a horror movie, a black and white horror show, than a nighttime feature on a Friday? You know, get yourself a nice drink, relax, get on the couch with someone that wants to cuddle up with you and watch it. So, all right, let's see who we got here. We got Triple B's in the house. Hello, Ed's here. How you doing, Ed? JD's here. The power of Christmas compels you. No, I'm not the Christmas guy. Even though I did play Santa Claus once. That was a long time ago. JD says, to be fair, I did see Halloween displays just after Independence Day. Yeah, see, We don't need these creep, this holiday creep. We really don't. But that's not the rant I'm going on today. Something completely different. I love how in the comics Jack Russell encounters 9 full moons a month. Yep, the full moon is whenever he needs to change. By the way, the full moon this month is Sunday. So there's another thing you can do. You can wait till Sunday and watch Werewolf by Night on the night of a full moon. Josh says, Halloween for me up until December 24th. Yeah, see, I like that. Little Al Jorgensen's ministry. Every day is Halloween, you know? All right. First, we're going to hit a bit of news. And this has to do with Knives Out, or the sequel Glass Onion. And what Deadline is saying is that for the... Oh, wait. Ed says, yeah, it's not just Christmas. I see Valentine's and candy hearts in December. I see Easter baskets in January. I see fireworks at Mother's Day. And then JD says Halloween stuff goes right after July 4th. It's insane. It is. Let's just stay in our lane a little bit here, okay? Just stay in the lane. Okay, news. Deadline is saying for the first time, all 3 big exhibitors are on board with releasing a major Netflix title. That being the Rian Johnson directed sequel Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. The franchise that the streamer snapped up for nearly $400 million, which is still cheaper than what they're paying for the first season of Lord of the Rings. The movie will hit theater on Wednesday, November 23rd, the day before Thanksgiving, but it's only going to be there for a couple days, like for a week. And then what's going to happen is, and it's only going to be in about 600 theaters. So if you want to see this, you got to get tickets and get in there and stuff, because they're calling it a sneak preview run. So it's going to run from the 23rd of November to the 29th. Then there'll be a blackout period for the film. So it won't be in theaters and it won't be on Netflix. Then it'll drop on December 23rd on Netflix. So basically, there's a 30-day windows for it to go into theater, but it's only going to be in theaters for 1 week. So kind of an interesting thing there. Now, by putting it in theaters for a week, it does allow this to be Oscar nominated. You know, this is all available for the Academy Awards, where if they had just put it on the streamer, what was the name of it? It's Glass Onion. It's the sequel to Knives Out, the Rian Johnson movie with Daniel Craig as Benoit Blanc. So this one has Dave Bautista, Lamar Odom Jr., Catherine Hahn, Jessica Henwick, Ed Norton. Just about everybody just about everybody in it has been in a Marvel thing. Jessica Henwick was Colleen Wing. Dave Bautista was Drax. Catherine Hahn is Agatha. Lamar Odom hasn't yet. We haven't seen Lamar Odom pop up in anything. Ed Norton, of course, was the first Hulk in the MCU. So Daniel Craig returns, and if you haven't seen the sneak trailer or sneak peek they did, it's pretty damn cool. They show everybody working together to solve these puzzle boxes that are an invitation to this private island where they're going to be there to solve Ed Norton's murder. It's like, okay, I'm in. Ed says, I think everyone in the world will be in a Marvel thing at some point. Yeah, you're probably right, JD. At some point, just about everybody. If Harrison Ford ends up signing on to be Thunderbolt Ross, then yes, I believe everybody will eventually be in a Marvel movie. Even if it's a cameo. You know, Jack Nicholson sitting there having a drink as Captain America walks by. You know, that type of thing. Peter Fonda would be the good choice for that, though. Because Peter Fonda's been in a Marvel movie, if you count Ghost Rider. So never mind on that. All right. So that's the news we got on Glass Onion, which, like I said, I am absolutely looking forward to it. I love mystery movies. I want to see how they run. I'm looking forward. There's supposed to be another Kenneth Branagh Agatha Christie movie coming out, but they're gonna, instead of doing the big travelogue ones, they're gonna do the first Poirot mystery, which I cannot think of the name off the top of my head. It's a murder at, it's a location, and it's a location that Agatha Christie eventually named her own home because it was paid for by the novels. But that's slipping my mind right now. But yeah, so Knives Out. It's going to be on Netflix by December 23rd, but I'll probably still go see it in the theater if I can get tickets because I do love these movies. The Mysterious Affair at Styles. Thank you. That's it. Yeah. So that's one thing I like about England is they name houses. You know, I love the idea that you name a house. I want to get to the point where I'm rich enough that I have a house worth naming, you know, and not just like Wayne Manor. I mean, something like classy, you know, something, you know, the Widgemont Estate or something, you know. What was Embercrest? You know, that'd be a great name, Embercrest. All right, let's go ahead and move on. And I want to get into a bit of a rant. And it's partly about the Camelot 2, the sequel. It's partly about the negativity that some of these shows have been dealing with, like She-Hulk and Obi-Wan had, because of, you know, this negativity that comes up with these shows and how they get, you know, review blasted before the thing even comes out. And it's absolutely ridiculous. But you know what? Yeah, these guys are just idiots for doing it. It's nonsensical. But then the media comes along and covers it. And they make a big deal out of it. And yeah, you know, Guy X might have 1,000 followers and he posts a rant or he posts, you know, oh my God, She-Hulk's the worst thing ever. And this is why they don't follow the comics. And it's like, yeah, they do follow the comics, but, you know, it's just misogynistic vitriol. And he's only reaching his 1,000 followers. And those 1,000 followers are probably reciting the same thing. The problem comes when one of the websites comes along and goes, oh my God, look at this, this vitriol rant this guy is going on. And then makes the guy famous by covering it or adds to his audience. So last night is the classic example. She-Hulk drops midnight LA time. Daredevil's on it. Daredevil's my favorite Marvel character. So I am up at midnight, 12:02. I'm clicking on Disney Plus. I watched the episode. Now, there had been some misgivings, or not misgivings, just some people were worried that they were going to make Daredevil too silly, being that this is a comedy. Now, I watched all 3 seasons of Daredevil. I'm not going to go into any of the details in it, but I think we all knew Daredevil was coming. So I'm sorry, Ed, I didn't mean to spoil it for you, but in the episode, he says a couple jokes. It's not, you know, he's not suddenly Jim Carrey. He's charming Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox. It's the same types of jokes that he made in the Netflix series. It's just most of the Netflix series was very, very serious. And, occasionally he made a joke. Avocados at Law. Do you guys remember that? Avocados at Law? That was because they were trying to say it in Spanish and they got the name wrong. He makes jokes. They're not great. Well, I watched the episode and I liked it. I thought it was a good portrayal. He was still Daredevil. He was exactly what you expected him to be. He had the charm. He had the demeanor. He made the jokes when they were appropriate. He didn't, he wasn't just going for the laughs. They fit his character. Okay. The episode itself was fun. I enjoyed it. So I finished the show. It's 12:35. I check messages. I check social media. I'm going to head to bed. And what do I see on one of the comic-related news sites? One of the ones begins with a C. I don't remember if it was CBR or comicbook.com. They have a headline. Daredevil fans angry at She-Hulk's portrayal of character. Oh, there it is. She-Hulk, Marvel fans up in arms over Daredevil's MCU return. Okay. Now, leave that up. Please leave that up because there's something important to realize here. The time posted. October 5th, 4:38 p.m. Now, I had just watched the show. It had only been released a half hour before. This story was posted 9 hours before. 9 hours. And they're not basing it off of the episode. You see right there, after a handful of teases along the way, Marvel Studios finally unveiled an extended look, Turner, Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock, fully suited up in the iconic yellow and scarlet suit. Okay, you can take that down. In the teaser, She-Hulk and Daredevil fight. And She-Hulk says, I'm going to whoop your ass. Daredevil gets out of the way of the move she does and says, I've noticed that my ass remains unwhooped. That's what they're freaking out about. One joke, out of context, just thrown in without seeing the rest of the episode. Now, I get that there are people out there who specifically are outraged because it's a female-led series, because it deals with women's issues, whatever. Okay? It's a bunch of BS to be angry about, but they're angry. Fine. But for a supposedly respectable comic site to run that ad or to run that story based off of what? Marvel fans are outraged. What fans? How many? How many are we really talking here? Who's really outraged? Is it that small group of people who are vocal, but the only reason they're vocal is because these news sites are picking it up? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. They're yelling into an empty chamber, and these guys are echoing it. It's like, what's worse? The fact that these guys are doing this, or that to get hits, these websites are increasing the audience size. What's the purpose of that? You know, someone has a bad opinion on something, fine. Whatever. Ignore them. That's not what these sites are doing. They're picking them up and they're moving them along. And it's right up there with these ridiculous rumors that keep popping up. I don't know what the hell happened to journalistic integrity. And I realized that I spent 5 years working for Bleeding Cool, which doesn't have the best reputation. But I also watched as behind the scenes things happened, and there were stories that didn't get told because there wasn't enough evidence. There wasn't enough sources. There was things that were pulled 9 hours before the episode drops to put an article out saying that fans are outraged. Okay? That's a BS clickbait headline that's doing nothing but increasing the audience for these numbskulls who are doing these things. You know, it angers me, and it's angered me for a long time, because when I worked at Bleeding Cool, I wanted to tell the news. I wanted to hype the stuff that was important. I wanted to come out and tell people, hey, this guy's going to be in this. They've hired this. This is what it might mean. You know, speculation, that's fine. But to come out and say, Harrison Ford is going to be the next Red Hulk, where does that come from? Some of these are so amazingly outlandish that it doesn't even make sense. You know? I mean, I've been speculating on She-Hulk that Mallory Book is going to become Red Hulk or Red She-Hulk. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that's where I see the story going. It doesn't mean it's going to. Okay, and I don't claim that it's going to. I don't come out and say, guaranteed. I also, superlative statements like that, you know, they upset me as much as 15 things you didn't notice in the latest Marvel movie. Really? Because I'll watch that. And if they find one thing I didn't notice, I'll be surprised. Because they're never like big things. I mean, Easter egg videos are great. Those are fun. And a lot of times they're reinforcing what you've seen. But come on. This kind of journalistic crap is not helping the industry in any way possible. It's just more and more of just feeding the garbage. You know, that's why more and more rumor sites are coming up with these things. And then in a lot of ways, these rumor sites are ruining the shows for people, because people watch these rumor things and then when it doesn't happen, they're disappointed. Okay. How would you feel? How would you feel if you have a teenage kid and your brother or your sister, your sibling keeps talking about, hey, it's going to be fun playing PlayStation 5 with you Christmas morning. It's going to be fun. I think your parents are getting you, a PlayStation 5. Yeah, I think it's going to be great. We're going to play PlayStation 5. And then Christmas morning rolls around and your kid is sitting there. Great gifts. No PlayStation 5. They're disappointed. And your sibling doesn't even come over that day. That's kind of like what these things are doing. Instead of letting people go in and enjoy something, they're setting expectations and they're giving voice to the negativity. And it's just ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous, and it needs to stop. You know, how outraged are these people really because Daredevil made a joke? Or is this just the continuing narrative that She-Hulk is a horrible series because it's She-Hulk? There are people who genuinely don't like the series. Okay. Not every series is for everybody. I get it. You know what most of those people do? They don't watch it. They move on. These outraged fans are all watching the trailers. They're all watching the show. They're hate watching it? Is that what they're doing? Is that the new thing, to hate watch? Because that seems like a really bad waste of time. Seriously, are you hate watching a show? Why would you do that? Why in the world would you do that? When you could turn on something you like, you enjoy, you know? The world is negative enough. Why focus on it? And why report on it? What does that article do for anybody? Fans are outraged. Which fans? How many fans? Give me a number. If you're going to say fans are outraged, I want to know how many. Is it 10%, 20%, 50%, 90%? I wasn't outraged. Anybody else outraged? I mean, who are these people that are outraged? And where do we get to outraged because Daredevil made a joke? I am sick of headlines like that. I'm sick of websites like that. You know, the rumor mills and the feeding of the negativity. It's, if you don't like a show, shut the damn thing off. Just shut up about it. I missed you guys' comments through that. So, yep, Dan rant. Let's see. Outrage sells. Josh says outrage sells. If every direction it was popularized with Ghostbusters 2016, there was way more coverage of negative comments than negative comments themselves. Yeah, that's true. It says, yeah, I was just noticing the time. How? Yeah. Like I said, they were basing it off of the clip that was released. Triple B says, wow, 9 hours before it came out. What the hell? Exactly. Exactly my point. It says, how can they be outraged when you couldn't watch it yet for another 8 hours? Yeah, at least watch it in context. My God. Jay says, if he had a bad guy he fought that bantered with him on Netflix show, maybe he would have bantered back. Jen was bantering with him, so he reciprocated. Yeah, he used to banter with Foggy all the time. You know, it's the character banters. It just, Kingpin's not a banterer. JD said, I heard a rumor that Dan Wick. Oh, come on, JD. I'm in all for that. Oh, great. Thanks, guys. Ed says there's no such thing as news anymore. It's all slanted half-truths and tabloid-like nonsense for ratings or for whatever agenda they have. Yeah. If I was ever going to get into regular journalism again, I would basically make it a website that was no rumors, no BS, just the news. And I'd probably get like 3 hits, but I'd feel better about what I was posting. Producer JD says, my favorite story recently was shocker. Marvel replaces Anthony Mackie in the role of Falcon. Yeah, because he's not Falcon anymore. He's Captain America. So let's see, Ed, they don't watch it because they hate it. They watch it so they can start crap over it because they get off on trolling people to start arguments. It's so stupid. The whole thing is stupid. Thank you, Ed. Amen. As Ed said next, amen, brother. If I don't like something, I don't watch it. Triple B says, I watched Rings last night, and you were right. Damn good episode. Oh, cool. Thanks, B. Josh says, what that article does is make one group of people happy that another group is upset. It's basically passive bullying. Exactly. So the straight line with Dan Wickline, I'd watch it. You know, All right, guys. Yeah, I saw that last night and I was just fuming. I'm like, really? Marvel is putting out a lot of content. When we were younger, we would have killed for a tenth of this stuff. Okay? I grew up in the 70s. We had Captain America on a motorcycle, Doctor Strange played by a guy that looked like the dad on the Brady Bunch, Spider-Man with web shooters on the outside, and just horrible, horrible stuff. You know, Rex Smith as Daredevil. And we now have some of the best actors, some of the best talent putting together these shows. They're making millions of dollars. They've got huge fan bases. And because of that, there are people trying to tear it down. And you see it everywhere. Anytime someone starts getting popular, there's a certain trajectory point where they get pulled down. Something comes out. Now, you could probably pull anybody down if you tried. But this whole thing is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm going to close the door on the rant. We're going to take a commercial break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about Andor. Be right back.
Thanks for tuning into The Experience. Help us out and hit subscribe over on YouTube and click the bell when you do. Need some help? Scan the QR code in the bottom corner.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales. To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey. And behind every page, there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Hi, I'm Seda Wolf. I'm the creator of Soulstream, and you're watching The Experience.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. We got a great lineup today. Right after today's show is What's in the Box with Miss Jen, and then we've got other stuff. JD, what's the lineup today?
My bad. Sorry, I thought I was unmuted. Today is Thursday, so we've got What's in the Box, then Space Cadets. After that, with Jenna and Shanice and Bean, I'll talk about whatever comes to mind. The comic culture, comics themselves, entertainment, and lots of fun stuff. And after that, we have Nerdcular Warfare. Normally, we'd have Henri with Kicking It with Henri coming up at 10 p.m. Eastern, but he is on vacation this week because he is moving houses. So he will be back next week.
Okay. Ed, are you sure the Scarlett Johansson picture of her in the white top from your open is from Black Widow? It looks like a lacy, sexy white nighty bra or something. Okay. That's not Scarlett. I know which picture you're talking about now. That's not Scarlett Johansson in that picture. That is a cosplayer named Kara Nicole, who was a guest on the show. She's an old friend of mine, and she does comics. Her husband's an artist, and she's normally known as AZ Power Girl because that was her first cosplay, was Power Girl, and she's from Arizona. So, yeah, that's not Scarlett Johansson in that picture. It's Kara Nicole. So, see, because that's when you said Scarlett Johansson in white, I have a picture from the movie where it's a split screen with her and Gal Gadot. But if it's the one that I think you're thinking of, that's actually Kara Nicole. So, all right. So during breaks, I hop over and I hit a couple of the big news sites to see if anything's breaking. Like suddenly Wolverine is coming back to the MCU or Hugh Jackman. And I get onto Variety. And just to go with our talk earlier, this is a current headline from 25 minutes ago on Variety. It says, Chris Pratt's Mario voice baffles fans after first listen. Quote, holy shit, it's literally just Chris Pratt's voice. Okay, that already has the fans are baffled. How many fans? Because I want to know how many fans thought he was going to do this bad, stereotypical Craig Ferguson style Italian accent as Mario. Is that what people expected? That they got Chris Pratt and he's going to come on and go, hey, what's the coming to go? It's a me, it's a Mario. Do people really expect that? Is that the fans are upset because he's not going, Luigi, let's go rescue the princess? I'm stunned if that is what people are thinking, that they're going to hire Chris Pratt to do that accent. Why? Why would you do that? 1987 had the fans baffled by Bob Hoskins' New York accent. Yeah. Which is funny because Bob Hoskins is English. Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, yes, it fits the mold of what I was complaining about, how they just make these huge sweeping statements. Fans are baffled. But really? Did they really think he was going to come out and do that bad stereotype accent? Yeah, there's a new Mario movie coming out, and Chris Pratt is voicing the character. So it's animated, but yeah, at least it's not a live action with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as two Italians. How would that movie have been made nowadays? Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as two Italian plumbers. Hey, Cole, good to see you. God, the story of that movie is so crazy. You should look into that. Yeah, that's just, I don't even know what to do with that. But yeah, if they're really, who's really baffled that Chris Pratt sounds like Chris Pratt? I've watched the Terminal List. The guy has no range. Dennis Hopper was great in every movie he was in. Yeah, because he's Dennis Hopper in every movie he's in. And Dennis Hopper is insane. Jay says it wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't be made today. That's just, it would be Stanley Tucci. And doesn't Stanley Tucci have a twin brother? Maybe I'm wrong. Seems like there's two Tucci's. After only seeing him in Mario Brothers and Roger Rabbit, I legit was baffled learning Bob Hoskins was British. Yeah. Bob Hoskins also did a lot of movies with Michael Caine. I think they were in like 3 or 4 movies together and were good friends. So, man, I am just thrown off by that. Because again, why would you hire Chris Pratt to do a bad Italian accent? Why? Who's really baffled by that? Oh my God. Okay, let's talk Andor. I have mixed feelings on this episode. It was good to kind of get in and see these members who were pretty much the beginning levels of the rebellion. You know, we have the ex-orphan who, and he's got, the episode's called The Axe Forgets. And the reason it's called The Axe Forgets is because Skeen, the one character, talks about how much damage the Empire did to him over time. And while the Empire is not going to remember it, he will. Because the axe forgets all the trees that it's hit, but the tree remembers every strike, is the basic of what they're pitching on that. Or, you know, he says something to that effect in the episode. And that is probably a great summarization of how rebellions get started. You know, if these big, you know, groups and stuff that are trying to rule and put people down, they don't realize that every move they make is a lasting impression, where to them, there is no impression, you know? It's just another day at the bad guy farm. So I thought that was interesting. We see the group kind of working together, preparing for this heist. And we see that perhaps there is some parts of the heist that aren't as well planned out as they should be. Like how to get the ship out. And because it's on a rail. So it comes down to Cassian or Clem to actually know how to do it. But we see the interactions between them. We see who the real diehard fans are of the rebellion. The younger kid, you know, who's writing Nemec, who's writing his manifesto. He's kind of the Thomas Paine of this rebellion. And he's very interesting because he's got a lot of really big ideas and stuff. But yeah, for me, it was Tuesday. Yep. Pretty much. M. Bison's line. But we get a kind of in-depth look at some of these characters. But it does seem like we're spending more time with Skeen and Nemec than we are with the other members. We have the Val who's running it. Then we have Cinta, who we've seen very little of. We know that she's maybe a nurse or something because she helped him back to health. But there's Tamrin, who is going to run the group into the thing, and of course Lieutenant Gorn. So we know all the different characters, but they're giving us a lot more on Nemec and Skeen. We find out Gorn fell in love with the local, then lost a promotion, then lost the local woman, and then just lost his love for the Empire. But it does feel like something's going to go wrong, that it's going to be a betrayal, that things are going to go poorly, and there's a good chance that Skeen and Nimic are the ones who won't make it out, because that's who we're spending time with. That's who we're getting to know. We're not really spending that much time with Val or Tamarin or Cinta. So it just feels like those are the, Nimic and Skeen are going to be the ones that don't make it. But we also see either that or Skeen's going to have to get rescued by Cassian. And that's set up by the fact that he's pushing Cassian, trying to find out more about him because he doesn't trust him. And then he finds the Sky Kyber crystal. And that's when it comes out that Cassian is there, not because he's a true believer like all of them. He's there because he's getting paid. And while that might upset them at first, I think his honesty is going to give them to trust him, because he's there for the money. He wants the money. So he's got a reason to be there, where up until then they didn't know what his reason was, and he didn't seem to have a diehard feeling for the rebellion. So you question somebody like that, but when you see their motivation, you might start trusting him a little more. So I think that was an important thing. But they spent a lot of time this episode prepping for it. And I think they could have condensed it down. They really could have made it a little shorter. It was a bit much. On the other hand, we're off with Gorn, and we start with him over at the facility, or at the site of this event, this ritual that they're going to use as their getaway. And we see how the Empire is treating this ritual site. Hey, Lau. They've got, and singing Piranha too. I read your comment and I didn't say hi. Hey, Piranha. They're treating it with target practice. They've got, stuff like that. So Gordon's like, you got to get this cleaned up. And then, they're asking for a reduced shift on the site so they could witness this event, this ritual, because I think it's every 3 years it happens. Let's see. It says his character reminds me a lot of Han Solo in A New Hope. He didn't care about the princess or the rebellion. He was in it for the money until he got to know the situation, the people. Then he saved the day at the end. Yes, I think we are definitely going on the Han Solo character arc with this guy. Yeah. From Solo to A New Hope and all that, we're definitely going on that arc, where he's going to be in it for the money until he's not, until he becomes a believer. But we see Gorn working on making it make sense to have a light shift and stuff like that to help the heist without it coming out that he's on the take. Because, he has that scene where he's like, that's supposed to be painted. That platform is supposed to be painted. We're not going to do this reduced shifts. Everybody here tomorrow, I'm painting that. And he has to be convinced to let them go to the ritual thing. So he's working it right with the idea that he's not escaping with them. He plans on staying there after the heist. At least that's what it appears, because he's putting in safety catches, which is smart, is a very smart plan. But yeah, and then we see that they're splitting up the four guys, Tamarin, Skeen, Nimic, and Clem, or Cassian, are going to go in, while Val and Cinta have another plan that we don't know what their job is. So it should be interesting. I think we're supposed to forget about them. So there'll probably be some horrible moment where it looks like everything's lost. The whole thing has gone to hell. And then those two will pop up. Good possibility. seems to be what they're setting up. Outside of them, we kind of take a trip around the rest of the galaxy with the characters that we're following here. We have moments with Mon Mothma where we see that, you know, her family is not supportive of her at all. Her husband is starting to question things about these foundations she's starting, which we know she's using to move to fund the rebellion, but he obviously doesn't know. Her daughter feels like she's just a prop to use in Mon Mothma's political games. So that, and they point out the driver's name a couple times. So keep an eye on the driver. I think he's going to mean something, because you don't point out a guy's name that many times without it being important. So now she's dealing with all her stuff. Then we go over to Solar. Is that his name? Cyril. Cyril Karn. The actor's last name is Solar. Okay. The guy that got kicked out of the police force, the private security force, after trying to go after Cassian. And we see that he is becoming obsessed with Cassian because he loses his job, has to go back home. His mother is overbearing and is ridiculing him in a very passive-aggressive way. It's not pleasant, and you see he didn't have a good upbringing or a pleasant upbringing, and his mom is kind of emasculating him, taking away his choices, saying, "I'm going to go to your uncle. We'll find out what you should be doing. Oh, your uncle said you shouldn't be in law enforcement. You should be in something else." He's trying to decide what, you know. So it's you see him, this rage building up inside of him. Piranha says, "I like the part in Solo where the Imperium is portrayed as a job career opportunity. Mando had some glimpses of that too." Yes. That's a nice touch. I did like that. So, well, I think Cyril's story is going to eventually match up with Deidre, the woman that works for the Empire, or the Imperials, who is trying to figure out this random stuff where all of the parts are being stolen, and she's starting to see a pattern. I think eventually she's going to try to dig into that missing box. She's going to come across Cyril and give him an opportunity to come work for the Empire and to come help her track down Cassian. At least that's where I see it going. I know a lot of people think he's going to end up as part of the rebellion, but I don't know. I don't see it. I see that look that I've seen in a lot of faces of people becoming police cadets and joining the academy and stuff. I've seen that many times. That this is his calling. So I think he's more likely to go the other way, but I could be wrong. So we followed all those groups. We see that the other guy from the Imperial, Lieutenant Supervisor Blevin, is on Ferrix and trying to clean it up, and taking over from the private security. So that's kind of interesting that we're still following that. I didn't think we needed to continue to follow him. So looks like, he's put his new person in charge, which I believe is guy wanted to be a protectorate or something. Don't remember his name, but yeah, he wanted to be put in charge. Maybe it was Tigo. Don't remember. But so there's going to be more on Ferric. So there's a good chance we go back to Ferric, which makes sense because Bix is there and Marvra is there. So eventually Cassian is going to go back. And then we spend some time with Luthen. And Luthen, of course, is my favorite character in the show. And Stellan Skarsgård is amazing. But we're watching him being worried. because he knows that he has thrown a wild card into the deck. This is already a volatile potential situation, and Val is the only one that knows him, except now Cassian knows him, can lead him back to him because he hasn't been as careful as he needs to be. And he's doing this to test Cassian, but he's also putting everything on the line. The rebellion, his own freedom, everything, to try to recruit Cassian and make him part of this group. So that's why he's particularly stressed and listening to the old radio, trying to hear some news about it. I think Luthen has put everything on the line to bring Cassian in, and I think there's more to that story. We're going to have to find out what's going on there. But, and I like how his assistant is kind of like, yeah, you're not doing any good. Stop doing that. Come clean some coins. I like that relationship they have. Not everybody, because if he was looking down at everybody or dictating everybody, then he wouldn't be that good a character. But when you see what he's like, reality, this is what he has to be. This is what he really is. We're seeing that with his relationship with his assistant. And I like that a lot. It was a very slow episode. And like I said, I think they could have condensed it down, maybe moved us a little faster. But, they're filling 24 issues over 2 seasons. They want to take a slower episode and then give us a fast-paced one. I think we'll wrap this up next episode, and because it looks like they're doing things in 3 episode arcs. So probably wrap it up at the end of this next one. And we'll be good to go on to whatever Cassian does next. So we'll have to see. Remember, stick around for What's in the Box, and then Space Cadets, and Nuclear Warfare. And later tonight, early tomorrow, we'll see the drop of Werewolf by Night. That should be fantastic. And we'll talk about that next week on Tuesday, along with the She-Hulk finale. You believe we're going to talk about the She-Hulk finale already? Man, that went quick. So thanks, Ed. You too. Have a great weekend. And to all of you, have a great weekend. Have fun. Relax. Don't work too hard. Remember to take some time to yourself. Okay? Good night, everybody.
Get the inside scoop on everything happening at the Experience every week. Join our mailing list by scanning the QR code at the bottom of the screen and then watching your email inbox.